I'd call our generation a bunch of BABs. Boss blank blanks. If you know what I mean.
Okay. Mr. Tarzian! Mr. Tarzian! Mr. Tarzian! Hi. Hi. Can you say something to the camera? What do you think of our generation?
Sure you want to ask him.
Our generation. All right, I can't actually hear you right now. So what do you think of our generation versus prior generations?
Well, I think they're very much alike. You know, they're competent, able, and ready to tackle challenges. However, we live in a very complex society, so it will be very difficult for them, the road ahead.
Okay. All right. What was your generation's version of the cell phone, if you had one like that?
Well, I must confess, we did not have cell phones.
Well,
we had the old dial rotary phones.
But did you have something like the effect the cell phone has on our generation? Like an equivalent,
well,
like everybody had it?
Maybe TV. That
TV.
was in its infancy in my generation. So, you know, a lot of time was spent watching TV.
Okay.
Because there was such a variety of entertainment and news and educational programs.
Okay. Do you think we have a skewed viewpoint of the world because we only know other Fairfield County kids? Like kids in Weston?
Well, I think perhaps your view of the world could be broadened. Because we have so much here, everything is plentiful, and yet a lot of the rest of the world is in dire straits, and I am not sure we fully appreciate that.
Okay. Why is our generation characterized frequently as self-centered?
Well, I don't know whether that's true or not. A lot is provided for our generation by their parents, but whether they're self-centered or not, I'm not sure I could agree with that.
Okay. And last question, is there hope for our generation?
Oh yes, of course there's hope for us. You know, as long as you have a dream, you have a goal, an aim, of course there's hope.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, prior generations were more concerned with each other. They were a community. They were selfless. Our generation, it's all about us.
Okay. Ethan, what do you think of our generation compared to prior generations?
I think that our generation might be, it's different, it might be looked upon a little negatively, but I think that it will do great things, especially with technology.
Okay. What was your generation's version of the cell phone? That does not apply to you. Do you think we have a skewed viewpoint of the world because we only know other Fairfield County kids?
I don't think it's skewed, I think it's just different based on where we live, which is true for any part of the world.
All right. Why is our generation frequently characterized as self-centered?
I think it could be construed that way because of our greater use of social media compared to past generations.
And last question, is there hope for our generation?
Yeah, I think our generation can do great things like every other one.
Thoughts, Mikey?
Say so. Not much else to say other than that.
We have heard from an outside source that you are on your phone for 12 hours.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Okay, do you like to paraphrase?
paraphrase for Adam.
Yeah, sure. Talk for me.
Our generation is bad.
Kids in our generation like to be on their cell phone. Ryan here prefers pen and
I did
paper.
2 ways and I both got the same answer. So
Ryan,
Pigeons.
the first one,
do you feel you've
these two.
separated yourself from the generation enough to be able to use technology to your advantage versus a hindrance?
And then I got e to the 4x divided by e to the negative 2x.
Or perhaps you haven't, as your people skills seem rather weak.
I'll do the other.
You should probably get off your
I'm gonna shove that camera so far up your ass you can fucking pull it out your mouth. Get the fuck out.
Do it. Do it.
No, I first
Do it.
multiplied everything by 1/2. So then I got e to the 1/4 x times e to the 3.
You can see he has a black eye.
And negative x divided by
That's from me.
x.
No, don't look down. Don't look down.
Discuss our generation.
Pardon me. Don't look down.
Totally down. Our generation is not good because it's the social media is the new generations, not the face to. Wait, hold on. Wait, one more thing. Wait. What happened to face to face? Seems more like it's Facebook.
It seems pretty similar to other generations, I would say. I haven't been in Weston forever, but it's certainly kids are always pretty self-centered and pretty pursuing the present and feeling that they are invincible. I will say I like the fact that your generation has more tolerance than previous generations. Seems to have a kinder attitude. I don't see the violence in this particular community that unfortunately is rampant in many other communities with your age group.
What's your generation's version of the cell phone?
Telephone. Well, it's just telephone, and I must say that the only thing that kept kids in my generation from being on the telephone as much as your kids are on the cell phone is the fact that there was only one going into a house. So it was a constant fight between the parents and the kids. Get off the phone so I can use the phone. So you don't have that particular problem.
Would you say that Weston kids have skewed viewpoint of the world because of where we grew up?
Yes, I do. I definitely do. I often think, before I moved to high school, I always thought it was ironic that the crosswalk right in front of the school, kids just blindly walked across the crosswalk. They didn't look to see whether there was traffic coming, and the assumption is that everybody's going to stop. Well, in Weston, everybody does stop. But try that in Boston. Try that in New York. Try that in, well, actually, they're pretty good in California because they're precious. But this is not real life. You do have to pay attention to your outside surroundings. And I think that one of the problems here in Weston, where we have such a wealthy community, is that parents believe that they need to protect their kids. And they have ways to protect their kids. And so they become overprotective, and our kids don't develop the skills that they need to be able to make the right choices. You know, you shouldn't play in a parking lot when you're 2 years old. A parent has to stop you from playing in the parking lot so that you don't get killed. But by the time you're 3, you better know yourself that you shouldn't play in the parking lot. So kids here need to have more experience figuring out how to be safe, figuring out how to be wise, not waiting for somebody to tell them what to do. But that'll come.
So our generation is frequently characterized as self-centered. Would you say that's teenagers in general, or is that specific to us?
Teenagers in general are very self-centered, and they always have been, and I suspect they always will be. It's part of like how you have to create your own identity. I do think because of social media and the lack of one-on-one contact, direct face-to-face contact, I think that it isolates kids to a larger extent. And the fact that you can hide your identity, or change your identity, while it's a way to experiment, it does lead to that kind of disjointed, I'm not personally responsible for what I'm doing or what I'm saying attitude. So I find that a little bit distressing. I don't know that you're more self-centered, but you haven't had the opportunities for the one-to-one socialization that's necessary. And that also is part of being a little town like this. You know, travel the world. Really travel the world. On your feet, on your legs, and go places, and then you'll have a better idea of what's going on.
And then the last question is, for example, the baby boomers. When they were all coming out, there was so much hope for that generation as a whole that they were going to be the saviors for America. And then you look at today, and we've been in several wars, and our economy isn't great. Do you think our generation has the potential to fix the problems of the world today?
I think that this generation has the brains. I think they can comprehend the problem. There's some really, really, really big problems now that are beyond the scope of current technologies. Like, what are we going to do about global warming? Honestly, what are we going to do about drought and population and feeding people? Those kinds of things are going to take an immense amount of energy and intelligence to solve, to come up with solutions to those problems. I think that your generation is capable of doing that if you're inspired to do it. But boy, it's so depressing sometimes that it looks like, man, there's nothing that can be done. I just like hang out and wait for so it's going to be over. It's going to be over. If your generation isn't inspired to try and find solutions to those problems, then it won't happen. But if you are inspired, absolutely, I think you can do it. And I certainly hope you get on it quick.
Matt, what do you think of our generation as a whole?
Well, Michael, I think our generation, I think we have potential.
Yeah.
Right now, I think it feels like we're self-centered, but that's because we're young.
Of course.
And we haven't really experienced much.
Obviously.
But I think in the future, as we mature and get older, I think we're going to do great things.
I do too.
What about you?
I think you said it pretty well. I think technology has given us the advantage that a lot of generations prior to us just didn't have, and especially living in Weston,
You know, we can do it. We can save the world. We can change the world.
I think we're going to be the first ones to have world peace.
First people on the moon.
We've already been on the moon, Michael.
All right.
Mars, maybe?
Maybe Mars.
Okay.
Perhaps the sun.
All right, next question.
Well, I think if you were to compare the French generation from our generation right now, I guess you have to look at the French are more cultured in the aspect that they're have different perspectives. They're willing to take in different perspectives, while I guess like us, the U.S. kids are more willing to be stubborn-minded and believe whatever their opinion is correct. I think if you were to juxtapose those two, that's the major difference would be.
I mean, so Fairfield County, like people don't experience like life is supposed to be hard as well. Like I think so many people people classify people here as like not nice, and that's because people don't know like the hardships that they have to go through and other everyone else like in the world. So people think that like Fairfield County people are like stuck up and stuff like that, which makes sense.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good.